Hi, welcome to On the Shelves at ACPL. Today we are going to be talking about mysteries that are on our new bookshelf. So let's dive right on in. Our first book is Terns of Endearment by Donna Andrews. If you have not read any of her books, they are definitely cozy mysteries, a lot of fun. And this is part of a series. The main character, her name is Meg Lanslow. And in this book, her grandfather, who is an animal conservationist, runs a private zoo, is invited on a cruise to talk about animals. Well, when the cruise is out to sea, the boat breaks down. There is a note that someone finds that says that a person who was on the boat has jumped overboard. But Meg's not quite sure what she believes with this. She thinks that perhaps someone may have pushed this person overboard. So before the boat is broken down, they're in the middle of the water, and before the boat gets going and they get back to shore, Meg and her family have to figure out who did it. Did this person jump? Did they fall? Or was it murder? Our next book is Big Sky by Kate Atkinson. It is part of the Jackson Brody series. Jackson has retired to a small seaside town. He is planning on continuing to investigate cheating spouses, cases that don't involve murder or anything quite as traumatic as some of the other things that he has gone through. But he learns that murder and things happen in small towns as well. Following a faithless spouse, he runs into a desperate man on the top of the cliff and discovers that this ties into some of his history and with people that he has worked with and had issues with before. So check out Big Sky and find out what happens to Jackson. Our next mystery is A Forgotten Murder by Jude Deveraux. And this is part of the Medlar Mystery Series. Our main characters, Sara, Kate, and Jack, have left Medlar, Florida, and gone to a manor house in England. Kate has invited them, along with other people, to try to reconstruct what happened to two people who disappeared from this manor house many, many years ago. When they get there, it turns into a real-life murder mystery because they find a body and realize that at least one of these people that disappeared actually was murdered. And now they're stuck in this manor house with a bunch of people, and they've got to figure out who is the murderer. The next book on our list is Twisted 26 by Janet Evanovich. This is part of the Stephanie Plum series. And Stephanie's grandmother, Mazur, marries a local gangster. 45 minutes later, he has passed away. And all of his gangster associates, friends, think that Grandma Mazur knows where the bodies are hidden, where the loot is hidden, and they are threatening her and coming after her, but they don't really know who they're dealing with because they do not realize her strength or the strength of her granddaughter, Stephanie Plum. Our next book is The Coconut Layer Cake Murder by Joanne Fluke. This is part of the Hannah Swenson series. Hannah is investigating the death of a young lady because her sister's boyfriend, Lonnie, drove this young lady home. He is a police deputy. He drove this young lady home from a bar, and then the next day, someone discovers that she died probably about the same time that he dropped her off. People suspect him of the murder, and Hannah has to investigate to find out what really happened. Our next book is Death of an American Beauty by Mariah Fredericks. This is part of the Jane Prescott series. Jane has a week off from her job as a lady's maid and is trying to decide what she wants to do. She goes home. She's thinking about going to see an exhibit. She thinks about helping some other women do a costumed reenactment of the Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. However, none of that happens because she finds a dead body in front of her home, and it is someone that she knew growing up. And so she is pulled in to figuring out who could have killed her. Her uncle is under suspicion, and she wants to clear his name and find out what really happened. Our next book is The A-List by J.A. Jance. This is part of the Allie Reynolds series. And in this book, there is a Dr. Edward Gilchrist who is in prison because of what Allie did to gather information and to convict him. And he is making a hit list in prison, and Allie is at the top of the list. So to find out what happens if he gets out, if he uses his contacts to send someone after her, and how she manages to foil him, you'll have to pick up the A-List. Our next book is also by J.A. Jance. It is Sins of the Fathers, and this is part of the J.P. Beaumont series. J.P. has retired, but that doesn't stop people from asking him for help. An acquaintance comes and says that his daughter is missing, and JP gets pulled back into trying to find out what happened to this young lady and revisiting some of the mistakes that he made in his career. Our next book is Desolation Mountain by William Kent Krueger. This is part of the Cork O'Connor series. And in this story, Cork's son has always seen visions, and he sees the vision of a plane crashing into Desolation Mountain. Cork and others go to investigate, find that it is a senator and her family who has crashed into the mountain. The FBI, of course, comes in and takes over, but Cork and his friends and other people that they've met are conducting their own investigation because they are not sure if the FBI is really going to find out what happened or cover it up. Our next book is The Hallows by Jess Montgomery. This is the second in a series featuring the sheriff named Lily Ross in the 1920s. There is a railway track with a tunnel that a lot of people use as a cut through in this small town. And one day when the train is coming through, they see a woman who has been murdered on the side of the tracks. So Lily and some of her friends are sent to investigate because the train brakeman is also advertising that they saw a ghost in white. And so when they track where this woman was going, where she came from, they find the Hallows, which is an asylum, and try to find out what, why she was killed, what was going on here, and what is going on at the Hallows. Our next book is Impostors Leur by Carla Neggers. This is part of the Sharp and Donovan series. In this book, they are investigating and matching wits with a wily criminal who is throwing a lot of different things at them, a lot of dead ends, a lot of red herrings, but there are several people who have disappeared. There are people who have been killed, and they're really not sure how all of this connects and relates. And so Sharp and Donovan have to use all of their experience as investigators to figure out what is going on. Our next book is by Sara Paretsky. It is called Dead Land, and it is part of the V.I. Warshawski series. V.I. is a private eye. She lives in Chicago, where there is a lot of corruption, and her goddaughter pulls her into a situation. Her goddaughter is trying to save someone that she has met and discovers that there are some politicians and businessmen who are basically paying to play. They're paying money, a park is getting raised, and then they are going to build multi-million-dollar properties on there. But what she learns, of course, is that with the people who pay to play do not play when it comes to protecting their investments and their reputations. And so she has to be very wily to keep herself, her goddaughter, and other people safe. Our next book is Robert Parker's Angel Eyes. This is part of the Spencer series. Spencer is hired to go out to LA, where he partners up with his old apprentice, Sixkill, to investigate the disappearance of a young lady named Gabby who has gone out to LA to make it big. As they are investigating, they find that she has ties to a powerful movie studio boss, as well as the Armenian mob, and an empowerment group that might just be a cult. So they and some of their friends are against quite a few obstacles to figure out what happened to Gabby in this book. Our next book is Swift Vengeance by T. Jefferson Parker. This is part of the Ford series. Ford finds himself investigating a killer who is beheading CIA drone operators. He finds an ally in an FBI agent named Joan, and the two of them go to try to find this killer before he strikes again. The next book is A Conspiracy of Bones by Kathy Reichs. This is part of her Temperance Brennan series. Tempe is recovering from a surgery and is incapacitated at home, not supposed to be working, but she gets text messages from someone, a number she doesn't recognize, showing her body parts and bones. When the body does turn up, everyone at work does not want her investigating this, so she goes rogue to try to find out who has sent her those text messages and who has killed this person or persons. Our next book is also by Kathy Reichs. It is Two Nights, and it is about Sunday, or Sunny, who has had a very traumatic past, and she has put it behind her and moved on. But then there is a bombing, and a young girl disappears. Sunny realizes that she has to act and has to face some of her demons to find out what's going on here in the present and help the people who are in trouble. Our next book is Vendetta in Death by J.D. Robb. This is part of her Eve Dallas in Death series. In this book, Eve is investigating a woman called Lady Justice. Lady Justice is a bit of a vigilante as she finds out about women who have been harassed. She finds the men who have gotten away with it and gives her own type of punishment. So Dallas and her husband are trying to figure out who Lady Justice is and trying to stop her before she continues on her vigilante ways. The next book is also by J.D. Robb and is also part of the Eve Dallas in Death series. It is Golden in Death. This is the latest in the series. In this book, we have a doctor who receives a golden egg at home, one of those cheap trinket kind of things, opens it up and realizes as he's dying that a airborne toxin has been placed in this egg. Eve is sent to investigate and with a full hazmat team and researches this doctor and cannot find any reason for him to be killed this way. But when someone else dies in a similar way, she has to figure out whether this is truly a madman who is killing people randomly or if there's some connection between these two victims that she has not found. Our final mystery is Bloody Genius by John Sandford. This is part of his Virgil Flowers series. Virgil is sent to a local college where there are two departments who are in an all-out culture war, which evidently happens in colleges quite frequently. Departments argue over small things. And so what Virgil has to figure out is who is simply maybe just a little bit crazy and who is actually a cold-blooded killer. Those are all our mystery books for today. If there was anything that you saw that you would like to put on hold, remember that you can either call us on any of our branches to put these books on hold, or you can go online to our website, www.alamancelibraries.org, click on catalog at the top, and put in your library card number and your PIN to put it on hold. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the shelves at ACPL.